such a city.
$2 million funding that we've been granted by the HGAC in round two of the mod, which we have someone in the audience here who was very instrumental in getting us from 7 million to 15 million dollars, which will help us with a siphon to relieve Moore's addition of some terrible flooding situations because of a shallow pipeline. We will be working on providing the full project scope by February of next year so that we can actually unlock that funding. So we have to do preliminary work to put together the scope of the project that we think would be about $15 million worth of work to help in that project. So stay on the lookout for that one. Also, just wanted to let you know that we are working with our contractors, GDI, who's currently working the Oak Park Drive project. The contract date for completion is on September 26th. That is not going to be completed on September 26th. We're currently working with the contractor for the time that they need extra to get this project done, and working closely with Hewitt Zollers and their project manager to try to keep this project on pace. But they're about almost done with one lane, and we'll be beginning the second lane probably in the next week or so. So just be on the lookout for that. Other things, just so you know, is that we are working to scope a project with the ARPA funding that is going to provide street improvements in the downtown area and some select streets such as Caroline and Oleander. We're also looking at some areas such as improvements on California from a prior bond as well. And so what we're coming out of in this next year is going to be quite a bit of projects of road construction throughout the city. So we'll be getting all that prepared and let you guys decide how the first set of roads we'll be able to fund through ARPA, and then future sets that are in our CIP to work on funding for those. So just be ready for those on the horizon. With that, that's about all I have for city manager comments.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to item 6, public comments. Members of the public are invited to give comments at this time, lasting not longer than 3 minutes. Comments may be general in nature or may address a specific agenda item and should be directed at the entire council, not individual members of council or staff. Any speaker making personal attacks or using vulgar or profane language shall forfeit his or her remaining time, and shall be seated. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the City Council may not deliberate. We have a few comments signed up for this evening, the first one being Mr. David Lehman. Please, I think you know the drill, but just give your name and your address, sir.
David Lehman, 3802 Texas Avenue, Dickinson, Texas. Been here all my life except for a couple years where I rehabbed out of state due to physical injury. I'm here again tonight to talk to you about the Water Board and their irresponsiveness to my statements and comments during the freeze. You should have a document in front of you that is a message board, and I told the Water Board about these messages that were out there, and they sit on their hands. They're the good hands people unless they're eating a sandwich. So anyway, back to this. If you read down here, it says FYI, low bit elevated 17.4, ground 13.2 with well still on, filling. Hollywood elevated 119.3, ground 12.3 with well still filling. West Plant running 2 pumps, 19.5 feet. Egret 12.3 feet with 2 pumps running. Pressure readings from about 9:30 to 9:50 this morning when low pressure call was coming in was from 7 to 9 PSI. Don't we need to issue a boil water notice? The general manager responded, I am not going to worry about a 20-minute pressure drop. I also believe the system pressure was much higher as the phones would have been blowing up. This is the general manager of your water company, of your water board, of your general manager, and he doesn't understand state law. I think he's been your general manager of the water company years ago, and now he's a contract general manager. So I don't understand what we're doing. He's risking your life, your children, your family. He's risking everybody's life because he doesn't understand the law. And now it's in plain black and white for everybody to see. TCEQ has been notified. We're going to get a response. After this happened, there was a boil water notice that was sent out the next morning, only because he heard that the employee or employees that saw this were going to fill out the water boil notice themselves if he wasn't going to do it. And that's what we have at WCID. So why the board doesn't do anything, I've got other statements about his criminal actions in the past, and nobody acts. So anyway, I wanted to let everybody know that's the issues here at WCID. It should be a concern to everybody that lives here that has WCID water in their homes. A couple years ago when WCID took it over, I don't know why the city handed over the trash, but when they handed over the trash, WCID decided to charge the citizens of Dickinson $3 each month for putting in the trash charge on the water bill. Now, if there's 8,000 drops in the city, that's $24,000 a month they just collected because somebody at the city didn't want to do trash pickup anymore. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great evening.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have Mr. David Hogan.
My name is David Hogan. I live at 406 Serenity, and I've been here before about the noise ordinance. First, I want to thank y'all for doing it between 10:30, I believe, and 6:30 a.m., 10:30 p.m., 6:30 a.m. at night. The only problem with that is that as of now, there's not, our decibel level is like 85, and as you know, we live behind Starbucks. And when they came to council a few years ago, we've been there, that neighborhood, 24 years, Bayou Park. They just got here a couple years ago. They didn't come to council and tell y'all or tell us, whoever was on council at the time, that they would be having nighttime cleaning activities. And they said 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., which they do, and they shut down, the employees go home. But they've had power sprayers with truck-mounted generators. They have grease trap trucks, which at 4 in the morning, and I have it on video here. I don't know if it's allowed for me to show.
We can't pull it up at this point.
Okay, that's fine. But so if we could somehow do something with the decibel level, 85 is just too high. Those papers will show you San Antonio is the 7th largest city in America. Houston's the 4th largest. They have decibel levels of 63 in San Antonio, 58 in Houston, 70 in Friendswood, 58 in Seabrook, 58 in Webster, 60 in Alvin, and I went on your paper only, the mayor, I have Plano, which is 200,000 people. That's a long ways away, but that's 60, and Galveston, 70 decibels. So we're like higher than everybody. It's not like extreme. And the grease trap truck was so loud, I called the police. He had a app on his phone with the decibel level, and it peaked at 90, but it averaged 76. And so legally, and I was having to shout. I sent Mr. Brantley that video, and he's got it. And I'm saying, hey, you got to turn it down. I had to yell for him to even hear me. I was like 5 feet away from him. So, I mean, you could get out there with a frying pan and hit each other and still be legal. So I don't know what can be done with that, because it's waking us up. And I've got soundproof glass on my windows. I can't even hear the birds chirp, but I can hear those big trucks. So if that was something we could take up or look at, because, and when the police was in my yard with the decibel thing, there was a 6-foot fence, a wooden fence, and an 8-foot wooden fence. So we were behind 2 fences, but we were at the property line. But the sound, as you know, comes over the fence. Had we got up, I ain't gonna put him on a ladder, but if he'd got up on a ladder and it had been just air, it probably would have gone up above 85. I don't know, but we got to do something with it, because the police made the driver start up his truck. Then we drove over around and got in the backyard. It was dark, and so they radioed to the other policeman and said, okay, turn it on. So he started up. I mean, it's a hassle. And Starbucks says, well, we can't have them come at 7 or 7:30 because it'll interfere with our drive-through. Oh, poor thing. They should have thought about that before they built it, or built it down by McDonald's or something. They can make all the noise they want. But maybe it could be fixed where if you have a business within 200 feet or something of a residence, that's a different story. If it's out where Dairy Queen is and there's nothing but businesses, that's fine. That way you could tightly word it where it could pertain to people. These homes are worth several $100,000, and now we got to listen to that all night. Sometimes they come every 2 weeks, sometimes it's once a month. But between the power sprayers and the grease trap, we're not getting any sleep. So anyway, whatever you could do, thanks.
We can't deliberate on it at this point, but you
Yeah.
may see it on a future agenda.
Okay,
So,
that's fine. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Next up is Miss Sue Emmett.
Sue Emmett, 3508 Hill Avenue. Hello, everybody. I would like to make a public thank you to the Public Works Department. They do a great job. They're responsive to the citizens, and I just want everybody on council to know that. We sometimes only hear bad things. But to add on to that, has the city ever considered contract mowing? I know that other cities in the area do that. I don't know if it's economically feasible. It's just a thought, and just a thought from an old woman. I I have a thing to add on about the water department. There is a fire hydrant at Hill and Salvato that I am about 99% sure is leaking. I have contacted them, it's still leaking. If there is anything anybody can do about it, I would appreciate it. That's all I have tonight. Aren't y'all glad?
No, never, never. You left a lot of time on the table, Sue. And next up is Charles Williams.
How y'all doing? Look here, I came on 2701 Avenue F, and my house got flooded out about 6 years ago. So I got commercial. I can't build my house back, but I swapped my property over to the village for some more property, and they tore it down about 2 months ago. And what I'm up against, I got to pay rent, and they ain't did nothing. They gave me some profit on 2003, but they haven't did nothing to it but tore the house down. So that been over 6 months ago, I signed my house over to them. So who do I see about that?
Talk to that gentleman over there.
Okay.
Chase, he's
Mr. Williams, you can come with me to the office.
and lastly, we have Mr. William King.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, my name is William Henry King III. I live at 408 Gully Ranch Court. I am a 27-year chaplain of the Dickinson Police Department. And I want to first say that, Jeree, you did a fantastic job in bringing Red, White, and Bayou back to Dickinson. You deserve a standing ovation. You deserve a balloon drop with confetti. Did a fantastic job. There we go. Come on, Council. All right. Come on, Walter. Just fantastic. Thank you, Theo, and Mayor and Council for putting on Red, White, and Bayou. In spite of the rain, I just can't wait until next year when it's 3 times as big as it was this year. Great opportunity, great opportunity. I'm before you not as a pastor, as a council member. I've served with you many years. I'm not even before you as a candidate for the Galveston County Judge position. I'm before you because I'm a chaplain with the Dickinson Police Department. I've spoken with the mayor. And I would be remiss as a chaplain if I did not come before you today. I've had an opportunity to look at your budget. I think you all are doing a fantastic job. I think Dickinson is doing a fantastic job. I love the growth and the development of Dickinson. I love to see new people, the new cubicles with new people doing great things for the city of Dickinson. Dickinson has a great future before it. Law enforcement is a unique area of leadership and labor because of what the officers experience on a day-to-day basis. And so when I looked at your budget, as I shared with the mayor, I noticed that you had 2 budget items that eliminated leadership in the command staff of Dickinson Police Department. And having been a chaplain for 27 years, officers work under an enormous amount of stress, right up there with pastors, officers, oftentimes experience stress, a thankless job. And so it's important as leadership of a city that we be mindful of how we handle the climax, the close, the conclusion of a particular officer's tenure. And that it be done in the most professional, respectful, dignified manner possible. And so if you just terminate without preparation after 35 years of service or 20 years of service or 15 years of service, we must understand what type of stress it adds to the already complexity of the anxiety of that officer from a day-to-day basis. So I would just ask that you all would look at what it entails. And as I've shared with you, I would never try to tell you what to do or try to make your mind up for you. Just be mindful of what you represent, because you send ripple effects to other departments if you handle employees of that tenure, of that longevity, carelessly. And so I just ask you that you'll be mindful of how we move forward and whatever needs to move forward. I noticed that the budget looks good as far as the surplus is concerned, so I know it's not a financial issue. But I do want to just say, as a chaplain concerned about officers and concerned about Dickinson, to ask you all to be mindful of what it could do psychologically to a particular person and the dignity that they must leave this particular craft with. Officers are unique from any other craft in this type of stress that they are under. Mayor, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to share from the chaplaincy position of the city of Dickinson. Whether I'll be a chaplain after tonight, I don't know it, and it doesn't really matter. I just know I want to do my job, and I want to do it to the best of my ability. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This will move us on to item 7, the consent agenda. The following items are considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion on these items unless a council member requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed after the consent agenda. There's been a motion by Councilman Wilson, a second by Councilman Simpson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to go slightly out of order. I'm going to move up item 9B for consideration now, which is the item 9B, consideration and possible action concerning a resolution of the City Council of the City of Dickinson, Texas, approving the certificate of formation and proposed bylaws for Bayou Friends Forever, Inc., a nonprofit corporation organized in Chapter 22 of the Texas Business Organizations Code for charitable, literary, and educational purposes within the meaning of Section A 501(c)(3) of the Internal Revenue Code.
Move to approve.
There's a motion to approve by Councilman Simpson, a second by Councilman Wilson. Is there any discussion?
I do have a question.
Councilman Simpson.
Yeah, I guess just from my curiosity, since it's a new 501c3 that's being formed, has there been any consideration in its infancy, would there be a fiduciary agent? The reason I ask is, like, a lot of the nonprofits I work with, when they go out for the high-level grants, they usually say, we want the organization to have been in business for this many years, have this much revenue over this many years in a row, and normally, if you don't, they want some other organization to kind of stand in the gap for them. I was just curious who would do that for the Bayou Friends Forever.
We have this structured is one of the reasons why it's being brought before the city council for consideration, is because what this organization is going to do is going to be serving to actually help fund Bayou Animal Services directly. They have many projects forthcoming as part of the bylaws. The city itself has a pretty strong control built into the bylaws, and so when they're turning to who the, as you would say, the fiduciary who could stand in, the city itself and so forth would actually be an agent to help them with those grants and so forth.
All righty, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now, let's go ahead and do item 9C as well while we're down here. Item 9C, discussion and possible action concerning the appointment of Board of Adjustments and Building Standards Commission Board of Directors, Matt Magliano.
Move to approve.
There's a motion to approve the nomination by Councilman Simpson, a second by Councilman Wilson. Is there any discussion? I know he is here this evening. If you'd like to, you don't have to say anything. Or if anyone has any, let me ask like this. Hang on. Does anybody have any questions for him? First off. Okay. Second, if you would like to say something, feel free to speak. You don't have to, but you can.
Well, I introduced myself.
I put you on the spot, so I have to. If you come up to the mic for everybody, everybody online, so they can hear you. Yeah.
So, Mayor, thank you. Council, thank you for having me be here and have this opportunity. I wasn't prepared to speak. I don't know. I'm prepared to answer questions. But,
Like I said, you don't have to speak, but
Matt Maggiolino. So I am a full-time police officer in League City. I've lived in Dickinson for 20 years, and my wife has been here for, I think, 3 generations. So
okay. And I know
I just came from a football game.
we like that. That's a vote in your favor, I think.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So I know that kind of what am I trying to say here? I know that consistent with our policy here, we do we did have kind of like a little pre-interview on myself, Councilman Brantley, Councilman Simpson. I don't believe we had any concerns whatsoever that came up with moving him forward. So I know he has the recommendation of the subcommittee. So are there any last call? Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There you go. Congratulations.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Matt.
Thank you for agreeing. I'll look at that. Okay. All right. We will now kind of move back in order here. We'll go up to back up to item 8A, and I do want to clarify real quick because the agenda is going to be a little discombobulated. So just to clear this up. So, Mr. City Attorney, so what we're going to do here, just tell me if I'm wrong at any point. So we're going to have item 8A, we're going to have item 8B, we're going to have item 8C, and then item 8D we cannot vote on this evening. Is that correct?
That's correct. And you're also going to do, just to make it more fun, I'd suggest you bump up item 9A to be
Okay.
right after 8B.
Okay.
Because tax rate and budget aren't confusing enough, we want to make this agenda fun for everybody. So
Okay, now we can vote on that this evening, is that correct?
Yeah, because and again,
Okay.
we can address it then, but the tax rate that's mentioned there is related to the budget, not your tax
We
rate.
just can't do 8D.
That's exactly
Okay,
right. Yes, sir.
got it. All right. So item 8A, conduct a public hearing concerning the proposed fiscal year 2022 to 2023 budget. I'll turn over to the city manager if he wants to recap.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, just wanted to kind of just go over a couple of things with you. So in a nice handout that Jerry put together for everybody, I want to go over some highlights for the 22-23 budget year. Number one, we negotiated a 3-year agreement with the Dickinson Police Officers Association, and this year they will be receiving a 12% pay increase as part of that agreement. We're also including 4 new full-time positions for paramedics to help our emergency response. We're also looking at really beefing up the engineering so that we have shovel-ready projects, and we also have projects, including one that we mentioned this evening for library foundation repair, that we've kind of embedded the engineering costs in there. We also have worked with EDC and Management District to help us while we're reflecting the cost of contracted services such as the Unified Development Code and Land Use Plan. The Management District and EDC will also be contributing to that. So what we're going to do is that we'll be incurring a cost on the expenditure side, but have the revenue of intergovernmental transfers involved in that. All of that being said, what you are looking at this evening is a budget and tax rate that's embedded into this budget that, as it currently stands, would sit at 38.8139 cents as a tax rate. To show you a comparison, our tax rate, if adopted at 38.8139 cents, would be lower than League City, Lamarck, Friendswood, and Texas City. I believe that we're bringing a great value to the citizens of Dickinson with this budget. Another area that I do want to remind the council of is that as we are moving along, we do have a couple of mid-year adjustments that we will be bringing to council involving personnel to be adding some very much needed police personnel around January. That'll be involved in that as well. Also highlighted, dealing with streets specifically, we are going to be we're looking at this year reconstructing about 20,780 linear feet of concrete roadway, 114,000 linear feet of asphalt roadway, and regrading 66,000 linear feet of road ditches. This is going to be really a jump start for us to begin that 5-year road maintenance plan. Also, we're looking at an addition of a tractor and marsh master, both of which will help us with a lot of the right-of-way mowing, as well as, because we did look at the contracting of mowing, and actually what we decided to embed in the budget was actually putting a mower tractor with staff necessary, because the contract numbers came back at a very high number that we could actually have bought the tractor every other year, basically, with staffing, is what ended up happening with that. The Marsh Master is going to be kind of an amphibious boat with tracks that's going to allow us to go to our outfalls and more regularly maintain those for our flood mitigation efforts. Also, as part of this budget, you will also see that we are adding 3 new patrol cars. And the other thing is a fleet maintenance staff with the help of the management district, who's going to help us work on the purchase of all of the equipment and tools necessary to outfit the fleet maintenance crew. And then we are actually adding the fleet maintenance team to the Public Works Department, which will allow us to in-house that, really be able to have some cost control, and even more importantly, to really reduce the downtime from when we have equipment or vehicles going down, and being able to put those on more solid timelines of when we're going to get that equipment back. So what you're really seeing is a lot of, really a lot of value in this budget. And I would also say to I still call him Councilman King, by the way. So you'll always be my councilman, sir. Red, White, and Bayou is the beginning. That's kind of what the point is that we have so many amenities and so many great people that really Red, White, and Bayou, this kickoff is not just a kickoff of Red, White, and Bayou, but it's going to be the beginning of a calendar of events through the year. And what this budget also has embedded in it is going to be things such as Christmas on the Square, classic car drive-in movies, music on the square, and a 4th of July celebration as well. So what we're trying to do is really have an all year round, not just one event, but how do you draw people in from not just in Dickinson to have a communal feel, but how do you bring people from the region here and partake in the businesses here, the culture here, the friendliness here, and who knows, maybe they'll want to stick around longer, you know. So anyway, that's kind of the highlights of the proposed budget to you this evening.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 8B, consideration and possible action on an ordinance approving and adopting a budget for the city of Dickinson, Texas.
Mayor, did you hold the public hearing on that item?
I did. I did.
No one spoke on it? Okay.
There's no one signed
Okay,
up for that
good.
item? No. Item 8B, consideration and possible action on an ordinance approving and adopting a budget for the city of Dickinson, Texas for fiscal year 2022 to 23, making appropriations for the city for such fiscal year as reflected in said budget, providing for the incorporation of preamble, making certain findings, and containing certain provisions relating to the subject, and providing an effective date. Do we have a motion to approve? So moved. All right, there's a motion to approve by Councilman Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Simpson. Do we have any discussion?
I have one question.
Yes, Councilman Decker.
In this budget, I couldn't find the maintenance and upkeep of the major tributaries or any other tributaries for the water. Is that in?
Yes, sir. So one of the pieces of equipment that we're purchasing is that Marsh Master. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to in-house that work. Now, for the short term, we still have contracted work such as Nature Chem and so forth. That's a part of it. That's going to be sitting largely in the Public Works budget. And so what we're doing is we are going to contract as necessary, but the goal is for us to bring in this Marsh Master when it comes in, for that to become an in-house piece of equipment with the staffing, and and it actually comes with the attachments such as a mower. It even has a backhoe. And actually, one of the things I want to mention with the Marshmaster, which because everything we want to do is, now that we're in that post-Harvey era, what are the tools we're bringing to bear to have a better emergency response? Well, this Marshmaster is amphibious. It also will have a sled that can be pulled behind it to hold up to 3,500 pounds for us to get supplies or people in or out as necessary. So it's adding to that emergency response.
Thank you.
Yeah. Council Wilson.
By the way, on a Marshmaster, I saw the brochure, but I couldn't remember. Is it possible for it to do any type of low-type maintenance dredging on some of these tributaries?
I don't think it has that capability, largely because it wouldn't have a whole lot of leverage to do dredging, but it can do smaller. Like if we were to purchase the backhoe attachment, then like let's say there's something smaller, like say if in a certain spot the bank fell in or washed out or something, there's some minor maintenance we can do with that.
I was trying to remember. Didn't it have an attachment for a cutting arm? So if you had a tree or something fell over?
Yes, it does have that as well. Now, and what we're going to do is, step one, because, it is not the cheapest piece of equipment. What we have are the mower and the sled, and this year, and what we're going to do is add those other tools in each year, because what we had Nature Chem do is they came in and actually cleaned out all the mature trees. They did a lot of that work for us in this past contract year, so a lot of the like West Gum Bayou and Borden's Gully, especially Borden's Gully, really had some major overgrowth with like mature vegetation that was really blocking. So now it's really a maintenance thing. So what I'd like to do in this year is get the mower and the sled, then come back to you in the next year. Let's get the backhoe attachment and a couple of other things, and then we can stage it, and then you'll have a full display of tools.
Any other questions or comments? Councilman Brantley.
Yep. So, Theo Harrison, thank you very much for putting this budget together. I think you were very contemplative and thoughtful in the way that you went, methodical about the way you went through the budget. I appreciate what you have done. I know that I completely support your vision. I completely support where we're going as a organization. I do know that there are difficult choices that have to be made, and I would pray that we would be responsible in those, but I do thank you. I do support the vision within your budget. I think you've done a very good job with it, and I look forward to its implementation.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I think on this one we'll do a roll call vote. Yeah, so we'll start, I'll actually kick it off. So I vote yay. Councilman Simpson? Aye. Councilwoman Simpson? Aye. Councilman Wilson? Aye. Councilman Brantley?
Aye.
Councilman Decker?
Aye.
And Councilman Linton?
Aye.
All right, the motion carries. We'll move on to item 8C. We'll conduct a public hearing concerning the adoption of the proposed tax
Mayor,
rate.
Can you call up item 9A? Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's not no
Thank you,
problem.
thank you.
And just for clarity,
Yes, thank you, thank you.
everyone, this mentions the word tax rate. It's a function of the budget. This is not dealing with the tax rate. The state law requires that if there's any effective increase at all in the tax rate that's adopted in your budget, which Theo just mentioned, then you have to take this extra step to ratify that tax rate.
Correct.
So it's super confusing, but that's the step that we have to take.
Tax rate will not actually be confirmed until a future meeting.
That's correct.
So, okay. That's how they wrote the laws in Austin, folks. So, item 9A, consideration and possible action concerning ratification of the tax rate increase. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Councilman Brantley, a second by Councilman, was it Linton or Decker? It was Decker, okay. Is there any discussion here?
I guess one,
Yes, Councilman Simpson.
we're going from 40 cents to 38, right?
And yes, it does say tax rate increase. Again, that is not accurate, but that is legal verbiage that
Yeah,
we
so-
must
so-
put.
Yeah, so what the state law says is if your budget raises more revenue than last year's budget, then you have to take the step to vote on the tax rate increase, even though at this point you have not adopted a tax rate.
And also that it is not actually a tax rate
Yeah.
increase. The tax rate is being reduced.
Like I said, that's
Additional
a revenue,
revenues will be
the rate-
generated but the rate is being reduced. That's correct. I know it makes no sense.
Yeah, and that's the wording of the state law, so.
We're just doing what the state of Texas tells us to do. Yes, they don't make mistakes in Austin. Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we have to take this to a roll call vote as well. Is that correct? We do not actually? Okay.
You don't have to.
We
so.
will not. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we can do item 8C. So this is where we're now having a public hearing about the tax rate that we just did. Conduct a public hearing concerning the adoption of the proposed tax rate of 0.388139 per $100 in assessed value for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2022 and ending September 30th, 2023. I'll turn it over to our city manager again. I don't think there's much to say, but
No, I would just call your attention back since specifically on the tax rate, because before I could only tell you how as it relates to the budget itself. So just to give you a little further information, again, this tax rate at about 38.8139 cents is very hyper competitive in the market of our area with other cities and so forth. Would also say that very proud of the council. When I first got here, the tax rate in July of 2021 was 47 cents. It was reduced to 40.4 cents. And now it's going to 38.81 cents if adopted as such. So just in a mere two budget years, we're looking at over 9 cent decrease in the tax rate. So I think that's a good thing. It's also a sign of the work that's being done in trying to spread out the tax base to the commercial areas as well is going to be helpful. And I know that the EDC is working on some very exciting projects to actually put the tax burden on the commercial base, spread that out more. Another area too, as we're working on this, as we're seeing this tax rate decrease, is working on, as we have mixed use developments that include multifamily, those are going to be coming on the tax roll at a relatively high rate. To give one example, we have one multifamily that has been approved and is moving forward. Just in the multifamily component, we'll be adding about $50 million in appraised value to the city, which is going to be really helpful in making sure that this tax rate can keep working its way down while we keep increasing and providing better service. So with that, that's all I have.
thank you. We have no public comments signed up for this item. So that'll conclude the public hearing. We cannot, as was noted, we cannot vote on item 8D, correct?
Yeah, you can discuss it if needed, but the only thing that you can do is, because you're not taking action on that item, just announce the date and time of when you will meet to do it. State law requires
You
you.
have to announce that at this meeting, like right now? Okay. I would like us, my intent is to call a special meeting a week from today, if at all possible. It should be very brief. Does that work for everyone? Can you make that work? Like at all?
What about Monday?
Do it. Okay.
What about Monday?
And
Maybe?
what about Monday? 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 Councilman Decker? Monday?
Yeah.
Councilman Brantley?
And
Monday?
And just to be clear, the reason why by state law, you're not allowed to approve the budget and
cannot.
tax rate on the same day.
We cannot.
It's again, more fun. You can't have the budget hearing and the tax rate adoption on the same day.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's the option.
So,
All right, so we'll meet on a Monday at 7 p.m. All right. Moving on, let's see, we skipped so much. So we're not doing 8D. We already did it 9B, but forgot to take the picture.
yeah.
We'll do it right after the meeting. I apologize.
Well, yeah, you have executive
We'll
session.
do it right before executive session. Okay. Item 9D, consideration and possible action concerning casting votes in the Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool Board of Trustees election.
Hello. Yes, so as you are a member of TML IRP, which is basically the insurance that almost every city has for property, casualty insurances, and so forth. Event insurances at some point, just for blanket umbrella policies for us, those type of things. We are a member of TML IRP, and so what is sitting before you are people that that would love to serve as part of the Board of Trustees, and you are welcome to cast a vote if you so choose. If not, they'll still have the election without you. So it's up to you. There's not, I think they're all good, worthy people. I didn't see anyone on there that was of note that stands out above the rest, because I think they're all good public servants. So, but it's up to you guys.
So is there I'll just ask for their nomination.
I have one.
Yes, Councilman Decker.
On place 9, Carl Joyner, he's the mayor of Keeneland. Pretty much, when I look through here, some of these people I didn't know, I was looking for somebody that is local that may benefit us. The other ones I didn't have one.
So would you like to nominate Carl Joyner?
Carl Joyner,
All right, is there a second?
place 9.
All right, there's a second by Councilwoman Simpson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take this to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carries. That will move us on. Let me get back up to the front. Item 10A, Texas Local Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. Discussion with attorney regarding contemplated/pending litigation and regarding matters protected by the attorney-client privilege. We will convene into executive session at, actually, we'll take 5 minutes. Let's convene into executive session at 8:05 p.m.
Hi, my name is Herbert Myers, and I will be the new chief building official for the city of Dickinson. I have a contracting background, and I guess it's just a natural progression as the years go on, and I wanted to kind of utilize some of the things and skills I've learned over the years, and I fell into city government, and I've enjoyed it. I guess it's given the public, and like I said, contractors, business owners, a feeling that they can relate to somebody in city government versus somebody who wouldn't understand, somebody who hasn't walked in their shoes. I'm honored to be here. I'm grateful. Sometimes I'm still amazed that I'm in this position and have been for a number of years now with a different municipality. So yes, I'm still humbled by it and honored that I get to do this. Even at my age, I still enjoy dirt bike riding, and I got my grandson into it, and he's doing really well with that, so I'm kind of passing that fourth generation of motocross riding on to him. And so yes, that's what I do on my time off. I'm basically out in the woods somewhere, sitting around a campfire, doing those types of activities, canoeing, anything outdoors.
executive session at 8:50 p.m. Item 11, action items from executive session. We have none. Moves us on to item 12, adjournment. There's a motion adjourned by Councilman Wilson, second by Councilman Simpson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 8:50 p.m.